Is everybody seated? Okay, I'd like to welcome you to a commencement ceremony unlike any you've ever experienced before, and we hope unlike any you will experience in the future. If we've learned one thing this year, it's resilience and changing our setup, our lives, our expectations, our goals. But what we haven't changed is our admiration and respect for you. So I'm Martha Pott. I'm seeing a few people I've had in class, and I've never seen you in person. This is very exciting. This is my colleague, Chip Gidney, Mary Casey, colleague, Sarah Johnson, Teo Klimstra. You see very few faculty here because we were restricted in the numbers, and we are all here in spirit, and some are with us remotely. So you're going to probably be congratulated at different times and in different ways. Who knew you would be attending a commencement before you even finished your work? This doesn't let you off the hook, but we are so happy that you're here. So we start our ceremony now, and I just want you to take a moment right now to think back on the moment that you learned that you were accepted at Tufts. Whom did you tell first? No, you don't have to write it in the chat. You can just think it, right? What did you do? How did you celebrate? What did you say? A few of you may have been disappointed that you didn't get in somewhere else, but most of you, this was the place of your dreams. And it's the place of our dreams, and it's the place where we want you to go forth and remember these experiences. I'm going to just tell you about something that just happened to me. I parked my car behind West Hall, and the people getting out of the car, an older man and woman, maybe not older than I am, but anyway, older than you, and they were getting out of their car, and they saw me putting on my regalia and wondered what the heck was going on, so I explained. And I explained that we have to stagger these commencement ceremonies for obvious reasons. And I asked them about themselves. It was a man and a woman, and he was coming to campus. He graduated in 1963. And he was the best friend of the woman he was with. He was the best friend of the husband of the woman he was with, who graduated in 61. He started crying when he told me because that man had just died, her husband. And so, we had comments about that. But of course, in the process of being such good friends, they were all supporting each other through this time. And they decided that they would wait a little while and come to campus and go to the place where they had all met, Miller Hall, which is right over here, and reminisce. And so what's the take-home message here? You have made and you will continue to nourish relationships of a lifetime. And, I study personal and social development, so, I think relationships are important. But the reason I study them is because relationships are important. And we've never realized this any more than we have during this past year, right? So you'll hear in a little while how much we admire you for this. But keep in mind and keep in touch. All right, so just a few words about the ceremony today. Because of COVID, obviously, we've been restricted these small numbers. And we want you to make contact with people who aren't here. There are some of you graduating who are attending virtually, as well as staff and faculty. And we're very pleased about this. At Eliot-Pearson, from which you are graduating, we have a mission. And Chip, my colleague, Dr. Calvin Gidney, AKA Chip, is now going to read the Eliot-Pearson mission statement.
Congratulations, everybody. We, the Eliot-Pearson Department of Child Study and Human Development, commit to enhancing the lives of children and families in diverse communities and contexts in the 21st century. We use collaborative, multidisciplinary, strength-based approaches. We conduct research that informs practice and utilize practice that informs theory and research, and promote civic engagement.
At commencement ceremonies, we take the opportunity to announce any retiring faculty members, and today we're announcing the official retirement of our colleague David Henry Feldman. And I have a statement about his accomplishments. Many of you didn't know him. A few of you may have had him for cognitive development. I see some heads nodding. But you will all learn more about him. He's a very esteemed faculty member of our department. David Henry Feldman holds Eliot-Pearson's record for the longest-standing tenure of appointment, having served at Tufts for 47 years. Woohoo! From 1974 to 2021. He was hired at Tufts as an associate professor and was promoted to professor in 1982. Professor Feldman served in several key roles within the department as co-chair, as acting chair, and more recently as chair for 5, maybe 6 years. Professor Feldman also served several times as the director of graduate studies. Under his guidance in 1981, the department, which was then named just Child Study, developed and established a doctoral program, a PhD program in applied child development, which was the very first in the nation. With Professor Donald Wertlieb, who's now also emeritus, Feldman published in 1995 an article about the development of our field and the doctoral program. Professor Feldman authored several scholarly books and dozens of articles in the broad field of cognitive development. Particularly well known are his books Beyond Universals in Cognitive Development, which was published and republished in 1994, and also Nature's Gambit, Child Prodigies and the Development of Great Potential in 1986, which he wrote with Lynn Goldsmith, who was also active in our department for a time. Professor Feldman was one of the field's leaders in the study of giftedness, expertise, and creativity. In fact, the development of expertise was a signature of his intellectual development course. Students selected a learning domain. Some of you have done this, for example, writing poetry, knitting, cooking, juggling, in which they were not expert and engaged in a critical learning process throughout the course of the semester, reflecting on their trajectory from novice toward expertise. I can tell you a little bit about this, that when I first came into the department, the Feldman lab, we didn't even call them labs then, was the biggest, hottest thing going. There were so many students interested in cognitive development, and they all learned how to juggle through the MIT Juggling Club, and the Eliot-Pearson library was one night a week full of jugglers and practicing because they were experiencing learning something for the first time, and that, of course, was fun. We do have fun. Okay. Professor Feldman also worked with others, for example, Howard Gardner, at Harvard, to translate developmental theory and cognition to application in early childhood education using the framework of multiple intelligences. Throughout the 80s and 90s, together they received considerable funding from a number of foundations, including the Rockefeller Foundation, the W.T. Grant Foundation, and others, for their activities for Project Spectrum. And they used the Eliot-Pearson Children's School to test out many of these. His contributions to his scholarly field were recognized both internationally and locally. For example, he was selected as the Distinguished Scholar of the Year in 1988 from the National Association for Gifted Children. At Tufts, he was recognized for his outstanding contributions to graduate education by the Graduate Student Council in 2004. And because of his esteem within the field of creativity and giftedness, Professor Feldman frequently received invitations to deliver scholarly and addresses for a general audience. For example, he delivered the plenary address at the Jean Piaget Society in 1989. He gave an invited lecture in 91 at New York's 92nd Street Y Speaker Series, and gave a plenary address to the World Council for Gifted and Talented Children, and a keynote to the European Council on High Ability in Münster, Germany in 2012. Professor Feldman actively served his field, including on editorial boards of some of the most prestigious academic journals in the field. For example, Behavioral and Brain Sciences, Child Development. Professor Feldman spent a decade from 80 to 89 as chair of the Social Science Research Council's Committee on Development Giftedness and the Learning Process. And from 2017 to 2019, most recently, he served as president of the Society for the Study of Human Development. He is still an active scholar to this day. The Eliot-Pearson Department of Child Study and Human Development is grateful for Dr. Feldman's many contributions to our department and to the field of applied child development. We are proud that today Tufts has awarded him the title of Professor Emeritus. Now we turn to a few accomplishments here. Amongst us, the Child Study and Human Development Department is pleased to honor several students who have received departmental and academic awards. When I read your name and the award you have received, please stand where you are to accept the recognition of the faculty and our invited guests. Some may be attending remotely. Julian H. Balcom and Elan F. Perry Steiner. Stay standing. The Eliot-Pearson Department of Child Development Prize is awarded to that senior major, or in this case, 2 senior majors, who best exemplify a combination of high academic achievement and the promise of an outstanding career working with diverse children, youth, and families. Congratulations. Claire Liu. Claire Liu is receiving the Eliot-Pearson Alumni Award. Elan F. Perry Steiner and Olivia Ward. The Eliot-Pearson Undergraduate Research Practice Integration Award. Congratulations. Mitch Choi. The Chinese Program Alumni Prize. Hassan Khan. The Pride on the Hill Award. Meher Katwani. Arabic Language, Culture, and Literature Prize. Cynthia Latch, Class of 1898 Prize. Emily Sunmi Taketa. The Thomas Harrison and Emily Leonard Carmichael Prize Scholarship and Tufts University Alumni Association Senior Award. The Child Study and Human Development Department is also pleased to honor any students who have received awards in previous years. And we have one of those today for Batya Rich, sorry. Batya, you here? We'll clap anyway. Batya received the Stephen Sapuro Prize. We don't have a commencement speaker because of the current circumstances. So I'm going to tell you what I think. And Chip afterwards has a poem to read to you. Eliot-Pearson is committed to a strengths-based approach. For all the parents and grandparents and friends attending remotely, this means identifying strengths of a child, a teen, or a family, a young adult, and enhancing those strengths to move the individual toward healthy functioning. Speaking of strengths, those of you who are graduating today have shown incredible strength and resilience, and we want to recognize this. We staff and faculty admire what you have accomplished despite these unique challenges. And let's face it, these were problems, not just challenges. For starters, we're an applied child development program. Hello. How on earth were you going to get your real life experiences with children, youth, and families when the pandemic hit? Almost all of us and you went to virtual platforms. Some of you had to alter or completely switch out your experiences and internships for the year. Our courses, of course, mostly all went online. They did last year, and many continued this year, although there were some in-person courses which were not without their challenges. And courses that had these in-person components also had to move to hybrid models, which were hard. And sometimes you had to switch back and forth, days and so on. This was all incredibly difficult, and only you know how difficult it is, but we want to recognize that we know it was difficult. The technology was the easy part. What wasn't easy was shifting your focus, studying remotely, sitting many feet apart from each other in your in-person classes, managing your disappointment, struggling to stay engaged, dealing with anxiety and depression, and in some cases recovering from COVID yourselves, and being home rather than being on campus for some of you. It isn't what any of us expected this year to look like, but you did it. Yeah. Woo! Here are just a couple of little examples. One of you who went home in March of 2020 when the pandemic hit took all of your Zoom classes with a month-old baby on your lap and a toddler sitting next to you, who were the infant and toddler of your sister, who was an essential worker. Many of you have tutored children in Medford and Somerville, some of you for the course especially designed to address inequities in education during COVID. And then you had to shift, you had to do that remotely and then shift in the middle of it when some of those kids returned to school. Despite being so careful, and you have been so careful, and we admire you for your COVID compliance, many of you still landed in the mods because you contracted or were exposed to someone who contracted COVID. I drove by these today, and I was reminded, because I knew I was going to say this, about what that must have felt like. Those many days of isolation were incredibly lonely and painful for you. Some of you got COVID, and one of you who got COVID with the help of her cat, I don't know what that means, it was told me by a faculty member, somehow found a way to be a central organizer for not one, not two, but three major departmentally sponsored events, all the while keeping up with coursework. Several of you spent the entire year on Zoom living miles and miles away, some over 4,000 miles away from Boston. And somehow you managed to still be fully engaged in coursework and student life as if living in Medford. One of you designed a completely new online program for her internship site, one that they will use in the future and which will reform experiences for youth of color. We are very much in admiration of everything that you've done. And now Chip will read the names of, sorry, the poem. Here you go, Chip.
All right, where my glasses wearer is at. You know what I'm dealing with here, so just work with me on this one. I am delighted, like all of our faculty, to see you here. I know most of you, and I'm gonna miss all of you. This is a poem taken from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and it's the verse is called On Children. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. I forgot to mention I get choked up on this. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. For their souls live in the house of tomorrow, which you may not visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes forward and not backward. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark on the path of the infinite. He bends with you his might, that his arrows might go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. Do you read? All right, I have the honor. Are you all smizing? I can't really tell, but I want you all to be smizing, okay? Because this is a very joyous occasion. I have the honor to present to the trustees of Tufts College the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Child Development. As I call your name, please stand, come down here to the front, and take your time, because this is for your loved ones at home. Look up at the camera, maybe give a little wave, and then continue on. Avni Ambalam. Woohoo! Thank you. Denise Ayun. All right, Denise. Wave to the camera. Julian H. Balcom. Woohoo! Mitch Choi. Woohoo! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Go get it, yeah. Woohoo! All right, I want y'all to get louder, okay? Yasmin Mohammed Farah. Woohoo! Yasmin! Woohoo! Take your time. Jaylene Ho. Woohoo, Jaylene! All right. Christina M. Hopkins. Woohoo! That's right. Take your time. Don't rush it. Stephanie Hune. Woohoo! Stephanie. Joshua Keys. Woohoo! Cynthia Latch. All right, Cynthia. Woohoo! Charles J. Lanoff. Woohoo! Charles. Look up at the camera. Wave. There we go. Claire J. Liu. Woohoo, Claire. Dinesh Matthew. Woohoo, Dinesh.
Take your time. There you go. And it's done.
Yes. Catherine C. McMurphy. Woo-hoo. Woohoo! Catherine. Tatiana O. Oliveira. Tati. Woohoo!
Right, Tatiana.
There she goes.
All right. Wave at the camera. That's right. Elon F. Perry Steiner. Woohoo!
Take your time.
Oh, that's all right. We'll just, yes, there we go. Wave at your family.
Congratulations.
Aaron K. Poindexter McCann. That's all right. Don't rush. Take your time.
Okay, and there it goes.
Woohoo! Daniela Pozos Nicolau. Woohoo, Daniela. Don't, no, take your time. Woohoo! There we go. Sydney M. Raj. Sydney! Sydney!
And come in.
Alexa R. Rudolph. That's all right. Take your time.
There we go.
Emily Sunmi Taketa. Woohoo! All right. Olivia Faith Ward. Woohoo! Rachel F. Windreich. Woohoo, Rachel! All right. So I'm pleased to recognize the graduates, our graduates of our program. I'm going to begin by reading the names of the doctoral students in the program, and then I will read the names of the master's students in the program. I want to begin with Naila Houdani, doctorate. And you can switch. Perfect. Thank you. Patrice Louisa Joseph, doctorate.
And there it goes.
Lian Chiok. Her up. Yay. Haley Catherine Leishman. Congratulations. Grace Ann Murphy. Yeah. Stephanie Jacqueline Rappaport. Jenny Zhang. And she wasn't able to be here, but let's hear it for Sarah Dionisio. We would like to recognize the candidates for degrees who are learning remotely as well and are unable to attend today's ceremony in person, but are watching. Abigail Henney. All right. She's not here today, but we'll clap for her. Abrina T. LaRose. Woohoo! Tyler Kent. All right. Nadia V. Mayer. And Batya Rich. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize the doctoral students who are either attending remotely or for other reasons cannot be here. Cheveso Cook, Chevy Cook. Andrew G. Farina. Elizabeth Hunt. Tima Ormai. Twinkle Suthar. Grace Williams Babineau. And Kayla Worthy. It gives me great honor to certify that all of you have completed through rigorous study your graduate degrees. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Woo! Okay. We are coming to the end, but I just wanted to say a few more things. First of all, how do you go forward with all of this? You know, we have a mantra in the department called research practice integration, right? We believe in research. Research is incredibly important. As those of you in the incarceration course, you heard this anecdote, but Gerald Patterson, one of our premier researchers who has since died in aggression and children's externalizing behavior, who had an Institute for Social Research in Oregon, he always said, "In God we trust, everyone else needs to bring data." And this is true. We need data. So what does this mean? You don't just use it for your research report, right? You don't just use it for your internships in undergraduate and graduate school. What you do is you have this mindset about evidence-based practice. We have a whole course in evidence-based practice, but it also infuses everything that you do when you learn in inquiry and analysis, in your subject matter courses in personal, social, and COG and language development and so on. This is such an important perspective, but it's also a perspective for life, right? So some of you will not have careers, but Many of you will have nieces, nephews, children, people whose lives you interact with. And when someone says, hey, let's try this, you will say, I don't think there's research support for that. Let me figure this out, right? Or you're a member of the school board or the PTA. There's a lot of wheel spinning out there, and you are the brakes on that. You are the ones who are gonna figure out what works, how to make it work, and to move forward, and we admire and respect you for that. I do want to say also a few thank yous to President Tony Monaco. Last summer, President Monaco put an enormous team into effect from the medical school, the vet school, the Tufts Medford campus, scientists all over, doctors, physicians, researchers, public health specialists, to say, how can we make Tufts work during this pandemic? And they and he and you all did make it work. And he, I believe, a physician himself, deserves a tremendous amount of appreciation for this. We never shut down. I'd also like to thank the members of our department who are this year really behind the scenes, but even in other years, sometimes behind the scenes, but who are so important to your degrees. Mary Ellen Leone, our administrator, senior administrator, to Deborah McGreevy, and to Justina Clayton, who have done so much for all of us. Thank you all. Thank you also to the people who are doing tech support for us, to members of the administrative staff who have made this all work out. This was an incredible logistical problem, and last year graduates did not have anything in person for them. They didn't have anything remotely either. And the fact that we have it this year, so thank you. And I also want to say the obvious, and that is that we've experienced an incredible shift this year that is just not unlike the shifting of big, huge tectonic plates underneath our social lives. The pandemic has shined a light on inequalities and injustices that we all knew existed, but they are now lit up by never before, and we are aware of them. The experiences of BIPOC people in the United States and around the world have risen to the surface, and these are exactly the inequities and injustices that you have been trained and taught to recognize and to deal with. The pandemic has contributed to these social movements. They are working together to create an opportunity for you. There are going to be jobs. There are resources from the federal level down to your local neighborhood, and these will create jobs for you. It's not going to be easy because it's going to be a slow rollout, and the pandemic is not over yet. We know this, but you will have a bright future, we're confident. And the important thing is that no one is better prepared. We are so proud of you and what you have done and what you will accomplish. As I've said many times, if you've taken my courses, you've heard it, there is a lot of work to be done, and you are the ones for the job. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Okay, any concluding remarks from our esteemed faculty who are present?
I want to tell you how proud we are of you. For all that you've done, for the questions you've asked, for the seriously proud.
Sorry, but you have to walk to the mic.
You have to hear it again. Okay. Sarah and Theo, if you want to come up, I just wanted to say that we are all incredibly proud of you. Yes, we respect you and we admire you and all of the wonderful things that, we could say many times over that Martha and Chip just said to you, but we're really proud of you for working so hard this year, not giving up, hanging in there, and keeping your spirits up. We've had you in class, so we know that you've kept your spirits up, and the work that you've done has not been diminished at all in a year that could have been. So please believe us when we tell you how proud we are of you. It's been a privilege to walk this journey with you, and I mean that sincerely, a privilege. So thank you. Yep.
So usually, we because we're child development, we like to have fun. We usually dance to the song "Celebrate Good Times," but because of the ceremony,
Started it.
yes, we did. But we're gonna all dance, and you got to dance. I can see you smiling, smizing, in place to Tuftonia, which is not quite the best song to dance to, but hey, we gonna go for it, right?
Yet another challenge.
Right? All right, good.
Don't touch anybody.
We're gonna dance now.
Okay. Ready?
The preschoolers call it wiggle and move in place.
T-U-F-T-S, T-U-F-T-S, hurrah, hurrah, the dear old brown and blue, steady and true, rush along, brown and blue, raise the mighty sword to stay, fearless and out of the field and never yield, brown and blue for hay, hammer them hard, boys, and break through their guard, that is old Tuftonia's way, and the glorious Savannah once again will wait for Tuftonia's day. T-U-F-T-S, T-U-F-T-S, hurrah, 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 the dear old brown and blue, up on the hill tonight, all will be gay. Victoria, sing the pipe, will raise the standard of dear old Tufts to glory. Pile on the mighty score, these boughs of swords, now one no more. Nothing can stop us, it's Tuftonia's
Congratulations.
We're gonna start marching out now. Take pictures outside.
T-U-F-T-S, T-U-F-T-S, hurrah, hurrah, the dear old brown and blue, steady and true, rush along, brown and blue, raise the mighty sword to stay.